Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see it. Now, today, we got a show for you guys that I don't even know how I'm going to react on my way, during this show, but I want you guys to stick around with us and like the video if you haven't already. I'm deeply disturbed by what is going on. Deeply disturbed. And as they say, pull up the receipts. What am I talking about? Today, while producing content on the Stephen A. Smith drama that's surrounding him with Monica McNutt and all of that, I started to weigh in and really think about different issues. And then, as I'm going through the internet, what happens? As you search one video, another video gets recommended to you, another video gets recommended to you, old videos that you've seen in the past get recommended to you. As I'm going through the internet, I then see an old video from ESPN of our good friend Kendrick Perkins. Now, why are we talking about Kendrick Perkins right now? As you guys know, Kendrick Perkins recently weighed in on the drama that took place on ESPN First Take with Stephen A. Smith, Molly Karam, Shannon Sharp, and Monica McNutt. And they had a pretty heated conversation, a long conversation, a 40-minute segment. That later on that day, Kendrick Perkins went on ESPN. I forgot the show he went on, the particular show he was on, which is irrelevant. But anyway, he was on the network and he put out a statement where he was basically trying to correct Stephen A. Smith for the language that he used on the show by saying that he should not have used the word jealous, and we need to be careful about the words we use when we're discussing women in sports. Now, for those of you who may not remember what Kendrick Perkins said, we want to quickly play a little bit of what he had to say here for you guys and then come back and continue on. Take a listen to what Kendrick Perkins had to say there.
But Perk, I really want to get your thoughts on this because I know we started off the show with your tweet saying, I got to stay out of the women's business. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's a few things. One, Shanae, you, Andrea, Monica, Malika, just at our network, y'all do an exceptional job for us covering the NBA, right? And now we're starting to see a lot of powerful men start to cover the WNBA, right? And there got to be some fairness in that. They should be able to voice their opinions, but they also got to be held they also have to be responsible to do their homework when covering the WNBA. And I'm looking at guys like Charles Barkley, LeBron James, Stephen A., Shannon Sharp, right? Why do I point out those four guys? You have to be careful about the words that you put out there. The word hating, the word jealous, those are triggering words for women, right? Like in anything. I've been married to one, okay? I've been married to a woman for going on 15 years. And those two words, hating, especially when you're talking about referring to another woman or other women, those are triggering words. So you have to do a better job with that. They have to do a better job with that because it's not hating and it's not jealousy, it's competition. Pat McAfee, I think he owes everyone an apology, especially Caitlin Clark. You cannot call her out of her name like that. You can't. No one could come to his defense, and it's unacceptable. At the end of the day, you have to respect the WNBA, respect the women that are playing, respect the women that are covering the game, and you have to make sure you do it in great fashion. If you're a man that's jumping into this to that atmosphere,
I really appreciate you, Perk.
So you heard him there, fantastic. So what happened? I'm going through the internet and I'm trying to look for a video of Kendrick Perkins where he was insulting Kyrie Irving because I can remember it, but I didn't remember the specifics of what he said. And then I came across the video that I was looking for. And in this soundbite, Mr. We need to be careful about the words that we use, Kendrick Perkins, was on ESPN where he basically said that if you put a bird in Kyrie Irving's head, the bird will start flying backwards. This same Kendrick Perkins. So those are the comments that we want to hone in on today. But before we even get to what Kendrick Perkins had to say, this video is brought to you by our sponsor, PrizePicks, which is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Prize Picks is really simple. Instead of just selecting a team, you just select 2 or more players, pick more or less their projected stats, and then you place your entry. For example, this week, I'm selecting 2 entries. Stephen Curry for more than 25 points, and then I got Anthony Davis for more than 2 blocks, and Damian Lillard for more than 4 3-pointers made. Prize Picks is also the only daily sports platform with an injury insurance policy. So for example, if you have a player who gets injured in the first half and doesn't return to the second half, that player gets automatically rebooted. What I also love about Prize Picks is that it offers weekly promotions like Taco Tuesdays. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do now is want to play exactly what Kendrick Perkins had to say about Kyrie Irving just 2 years ago, and then we're gonna come back and react this comment. Take a listen to Kendrick Perkins here.
When you're talking about Kyrie Irving, listen, Greeny, if you take Kyrie Irving's brain and put it in a bird right now, guess what that bird is gonna do? It's gonna fly backwards. Because Kyrie right now, he's confused. He's showing his lack of leadership. Here it is, Kyrie, you have been on these conference calls over the last 2 months. You're the vice president of the Players Association. You have been very involved in all this that has been taking place for us, whether or not we're going to play or not. And you have been on the phone and you have voted to play. And also we go back last week. Just last week, he was reaching out to the Players Association and the NBA about, players that are on the inactive list. Can they travel to Orlando? That he said he wanted to go to Orlando and be part of the team and be with his team and be a leader. And all of a sudden, within the next 7 days, because from what I was told, the NBA said, no, you can't go because of the pandemic and coronavirus situation, that the bodies that are there are bodies that, that need to be people in place to, take part in action. And so, in my opinion, when you look at Kyrie, I'm okay with you changing your mind and having a different way of thinking and saying, you know what, we need to make a stance, and sit out. But what is the plan after that? He didn't have one. So once again, that showed his lack of leadership, Greeny. And guess what's been going on for the last 2 days in our world? 2 people have been lynched in the state of Texas. A young African-American young lady was killed in Akron, Ohio, behind a hate crime. And have that been highlighted like it should have been? No, because for the last 2 days, we have been talking about Kyrie Irving. So Kyrie Irving, right now, you are the distraction. You are the distractor. You distracting the whole situation. So it's crazy to me because, you come out and you do something separately without talking to your president, Chris Paul, or consulting with Michelle Roberts, and go off and do something totally different and get a group of guys together and say, let's sit out without a plan. It makes 0 sense, and I totally disagree with Kyrie Irving.
So you heard Kendrick Perkins. I'm sure some of you were stunned, especially those people that was jumping out the window, twerking it up all over the place, knocking over drinks, screaming and hollering about how wrong Stephen A. Smith was. I'm sure some of you jokers are surprised. The same Kendrick Perkins that was up there talking about we need to be careful about the language that we use is the same Kendrick Perkins you can hear in this audio saying if you put a bird in Kyrie Irving's brain, it would fly backwards. Let me ask you guys a question. What's more disrespectful, Stephen A. Smith using the word jealousy or what Kendrick Perkins just said there? No, you tell me. Let me tell you what made this clip even worse. Do you know what made this clip even worse? And we may link it in the description. That what made this clip worse was that sitting on the panel was who? Malika Andrews. And guess what Malika Andrews said after Kendrick Perkins said those things about Kyrie Irving? Not a mumbling word. Because it is commonplace at ESPN to constantly disrespect male athletes. It is basically the status quo. But now Kendrick Perkins wants to be sensitive and wants us to be sensitive about the words we use to describe women in sports. What a crock of you know what. This is the hypocrisy that we have to deal with. You see, yesterday, when we were touching on these topics, I was aware of this, but I didn't remember the specifics of it. So I couldn't bring it up in the moment. But while I was shooting today, I said, you know what, let me just do some quick research. And voila, this is what we have. So these are the people that we need to be taken seriously about how we cover sports. Malika Andrews was sitting right there on the pen. Why didn't she stand up and say, wait a minute, men are more complicated than that. Kyrie is a much more complicated individual than to just basically reduce him down to, if you put a bird in his brain, he'll fly around. Why didn't anybody say anything? Nobody was moved because it's normal practice at ESPN. And none of the viewing public were bothered by it. But these are the same people that now all of a sudden want to go after Stephen A. Smith. You hypocrites. Y'all are a bunch of hypocrites. The lot of you that are now going after and attacking Stephen A. Smith. And the simps in the comments. Somebody said, why you got to use the word simp? If it offends you, it means it must somehow relate to you. Because any dude that's not a simp will not be bothered. So it must bother you because you must be one. You must be one because that's the only reason you're bothered by it. These are the people we need to be taken seriously. Are we being serious right now? Stephen A. Smith is being publicly flogged for what? And y'all know I'm not a fan of Stephen A. Smith at all, but we're going to call it down the line. We're going to call it exactly how we see it. This is total madness, and I wanted to point it out.